The old men of the village always said that Africa does not hide treasure in the ground. She hides it in people, they would whisper. But this story was different. It began in the dry northern lands near the ancient city of Timbuktu, where the desert wind carries secrets older than kings. In a small village on the edge of the Sahara lived a boy named Kofi. He was not the strongest, he was not the richest, but he listened carefully whenever the elders spoke of forgotten empires and lost gold. One night, under a sky blazing with stars, Kofi overheard two travelers speaking in hushed voices. They spoke of a hidden treasure buried centuries ago during the reign of the mighty Mansa Musa, the emperor whose wealth once amazed the world. They said that when invaders threatened the empire, a secret caravan carried a portion of his gold away from the trade routes and buried it deep within the cliffs of Bandiagara Escarpment. But the treasure was cursed. Only the one who seeks with a pure heart will find it, one traveler said. The greedy will see only sand. Kofi could not sleep that night. His mother struggled daily to feed them. The wells were drying. The cattle were thin. If the treasure was real, it could change everything. At sunrise, Kofi packed dried millet, a small knife, and a leather water pouch. Without telling anyone, he followed the ancient salt trade path toward the cliffs. The journey was cruel. The desert sun burned his skin. Sandstorms forced him to bury himself beneath cloth for protection. Once, he nearly stepped on a sleeping viper. Twice, he thought of turning back. On the third night, as he rested beside a lonely acacia tree, an old Tuareg nomad appeared from the darkness as if shaped from the wind itself. "You seek gold," the old man said calmly. Kofi's heart raced. "Yes." "Why?" Kofi hesitated. He could have lied. He could have said he wanted riches, power, fame. Instead, he said, "My village is dying. I want to save them." The old man studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "The treasure you seek is guarded by fear," he said, "not by soldiers." The next morning, the nomad was gone, but in the sand lay a small carved stone marked with a strange symbol. Kofi continued until the mighty Bandiagara Escarpment rose before him like a wall between earth and heaven. The cliffs were ancient, carved with caves and forgotten dwellings from civilizations long past. He searched for 2 days. On the third evening, he found it, a narrow opening hidden behind hanging rock and shadow. His heart pounded as he squeezed inside. The cave was cool and silent. At its center stood a stone chest. Kofi rushed forward and lifted the lid. Inside was nothing. No gold, no jewels, just a rolled piece of parchment. His hands trembled as he opened it. The parchment read, "The wealth of Mali was never its gold. It was its knowledge, its trade, its unity. Gold feeds 1 generation. Wisdom feeds 1,000. Kofi felt anger rising in his chest. Had he risked his life for words? Then he noticed something else. The walls of the cave were covered in inscriptions, mathematics, astronomy, farming techniques, water preservation systems, trade maps. Ancient knowledge preserved in stone. This was not a treasure chest. It was a library. He remembered the old nomad's words. The treasure is guarded by fear. Most people would have left, disappointed. But Kofi stayed. For weeks, he copied what he could onto parchment and animal skins. He memorized irrigation methods used by ancient farmers. He studied diagrams of underground water channels. He learned how traders once built networks that connected kingdoms across the continent. When he finally returned to his village, he carried no gold. The villagers laughed at him. "You left for treasure and came back with papers?" But Kofi did not argue. He gathered the youth and showed them how to dig deeper wells using the old methods. He taught them to redirect rainwater into storage pits lined with clay. He helped them plant drought-resistant crops mentioned in the cave inscriptions. Within a year, the village changed. The wells filled. The crops survived the dry season. Trade caravans began stopping there again because the village now had surplus grain. Prosperity returned, not in gold coins, but in stability. One evening, as Kofi sat outside his home, the same Tuareg nomad appeared again. "You found it," the old man said. Kofi smiled. "Yes, and I understand now." The old man nodded. Mansa Musa's greatest treasure was never buried. It was protected. Protected from who? Kofi asked. From greed. And just like before, the nomad disappeared into the night wind. Years later, people from distant lands would visit the village, asking how such a small place survived the desert's cruelty. They would hear the story of a boy who chased gold and found wisdom, and the elders would repeat the truth. Africa's greatest treasure was never hidden in the ground. It was hidden in the courage to seek knowledge and the heart to share it.